Hello and welcome to more notable names in Native American history. Today, we're looking at one we have less information on. We know he existed because here's a painting from 1776 of the person we're getting ready to talk about with a Colonel Guy Johnson. And of course, as you can see on the screen, the name is Karonghyontye, also known as Captain David Hill. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this a bit here. Here we have a letter between Karonghyontye and a Lord Edward Fitzgerald. His adoption by the native Indians, which he here mentions, took place at Detroit through the medium of the chief of the Six Nations, David Hill, by whom he was formally inducted into the Bear Tribe and made one of their chiefs. The document by which this wild honor was conferred upon him has been preserved among his papers and is in native and English. I don't think it means Indian as from India, but it's again using the word they're using to describe Native Americans because so many people called him Indian because that dumbass Columbus thought he discovered the East Indies. Of course he did. Anyway, David Hill's letter to Lord Edward Fitzgerald, chief of the Bear Tribe. Nogong sin non praer, ninen segrage ni yes sayets eghindal. Efoniere David Hill, Karonghyontye, Io Sagnantyon, 21st of June, 1789. And in English, it reads, I, David Hill, Chief of the Six Nations, give the name of Igindal to my friend Lord Edward Fitzgerald, for which I will hope he will remember me as long as he lives. The name belongs to the Bear Tribe. So yeah. But this was talking about the letter that Karonghyontye wrote to Lord Edward Fitzgerald. And that was according to cartland.org. Now, the only other thing I really have with information on David Hill is, of course, the Wikipedia entry. David Hill, Karonghyontye, which means flying sky, lived from January the 12th, 1745 to November 1790, and was a Mohawk chief during the American Revolution. And as a prominent war chief, he was often titled Captain David Hill. He was born in a lower Mohawk village of Tionondoroge, the son of Aaron Hill, native name being Osoragete, and Margaret Green, native name being Tekonwanonroni. He was the brother of Aaron Hill, another one named Aaron Hill, so he must have been named after his father. But his native name was Karonghyontye, who also became a prominent war chief during the American Revolution. He married an Esther Spring or Springstead, and she was referred to in the native tongue as Karonghyontye around 1780. And they had 6 children together. Hill was a member of the Bear Clan and held the title Astawenseronta. I know I'm butchering these names, but I'm trying. Which means wearing rattles. David Hill would die in Brantford, Ontario in 1790. His wife, Esther, died in 1738, also in Brantford, Ontario. Or 1838, not 17. I was like, wait a minute, how'd she die before they married? Anyway, like the other Mohawks, Hill was a loyalist, a close associate of William Johnson and friend of Joseph Brant. Among other things, David and his brother Aaron accompanied British Captain John Munro on his raid of Boston, not Boston, Ballston, New York in 1780. And of course, we saw the image right here of David Hill, this native fellow in the back here, with Colonel Guy Johnson. So yeah. But yeah, it was pretty common for the native peoples to fight on the side of the British because they thought they could keep the colonists, put them in their place, tell them, no, you cannot go any further. We want peace with these peoples. But of course, the colonists were like, no, we want to explore further. And it would be a recurring issue. Like I said, it may have opened up North America to the future U.S., but it took the land away from peoples that were already living on it. So, it's just one of these things you always have to look back in history. It's never this happy-go-lucky, oh, we peacefully assimilated the land and made it America. No. And I hate it when people try to make it seem like, oh, there is no horrible parts in American history. Clearly you haven't read American history. If you know anything about American history, as much as there is you can sit there and take pride in, there's still a lot as well that you have to recognize for the shameful acts they are. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, this, like I said, this was going to be a short one. Um, David Hill, also known as Karonghyontye. Karonghyontye. Flying Sky. One of the lesser known native peoples, because I certainly didn't know anything about them. Yeah. I know for the Boston Tea Party, colonialists dressed up as Mohawk natives to throw the tea in the Boston Harbor. But apparently, this gentleman, Karonghyontye, was chief of the Mohawk. And yes, of course, they're named Mohawk because they had the one strip of hair. Sometimes, as we see, they wore it up in braids, but it was still just that one strip of hair. But yeah. We'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting my links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.